really didn't want to do another video about Boba Fett until there was something more to talk about. I don't want to be known as that guy who goes on and on about him. But here we are, and there is something I think a lot of people don't get about his character, beyond just the Book of Boba Fett. So please, don't comment that the Book of Boba Fett was trash. We all know some of you don't like it. This is more about Boba Fett's wealth and journey, not the writing of the show, and honestly, it gets old hearing it. If you don't like the Book of Boba Fett, that's fine. Just be constructive in your comments. The Book of Boba Fett taught us a couple things about how Boba Fett survived and evolved. There is the rather obvious storyline of Boba Fett changing his ways, ready for retirement from bounty hunting. But there's something else, and this doesn't just go for the Book of Boba Fett, but rather all of Star Wars. So I'm going to focus on something hidden that I think we all have overlooked. I don't want to give it all away yet. Why? Because theater of the mind. In fact, that's something I try to do with all my videos of this nature. Help you to paint a picture. Isn't that very Grand Admiral Thrawn of me? Wait, no. I'm no genius like Grand Admiral Thrawn, so I can't really do things the way he does, and maybe I'm just a jerk. Well, you can decide that.
Isn't that right, Mr. Poopy Pants?
Okay, I'm getting way off track, so let's get on with it. The idea came to me when I was scrolling through the comment section of an Instagram post, when someone asked if Boba Fett had all this money from his father and the high-priced bounties he took on, why couldn't he afford to pay more people to help him against the Pyke Syndicate on Tatooine? Or something along those lines. And the answer's pretty simple, really, but it sent me into a rabbit hole of other thoughts. Okay, why didn't Boba Fett rent an army? Well, before I dig really deep into this, you have to sit through a shameless plug from this channel's sponsor, me. Welcome everyone, I'm Gerald and I'm a Star Wars fanatic. Hit the subscribe button and give the video a big stupid thumbs up. I'm on a mission to hit 50,000 subscribers and I'd like you all to be a part of that journey. I know every freaking YouTube channel asks for your subscription, but mine's special. Why? Because it's freaking Star Wars, baby, and I absolutely promise to deliver on my word. With me, you'll get the best Star Wars content YouTube has to offer, and I'll deliver it in a way that's fun and engaging. And it's all original content, no rehashes of what other channels talk about. If you're looking for someone to bore you to sleep, I'm not that guy. But if you want to have fun and party like the Cantina Band finally signed a record contract, welcome home. Thanks for listening. Now, let's get back to it. Let's look back at the Book of Boba Fett. Why the Book of Boba Fett when I'm probably committing YouTube suicide just mentioning the show? Because it's important to answer the question. And why am I talking to myself and asking myself easy freaking questions? Because it's just me here and I can't hear you, nor read your thoughts until you leave a comment. Anyways, one of the complaints for the Book of Boba Fett is that Boba Fett couldn't afford help, meaning he was going to take on the Pyke Syndicate alone with just Fennec Shand and a couple of pig guys if he eventually took on Chrysanthemum, the cybernetically enhanced Wookiee who beat ass wholesale. Yes, he's cybernetically enhanced. Read the comics. Then Fennec Shand recruited Din Djarin. He didn't cost anything. Then there was the Power Ranger Hell Angel Starter Club. But beyond that, he had no mighty army. A lot of the complaint is that Boba Fett should have had enough money left to him by Jango Fett and the many high-priced missions he took on in his younger days as a youth, as the galaxy's most feared bounty hunter. The Empire must have paid well for Luke Skywalker's name and the whereabouts of Han Solo, right? What about the bounty for Han Solo given to him by Jabba the Hutt? Fair enough. By all rights, he should have been able to recruit an entire army of red pajama people and sit comfortably in his new palace as the battle raged. Right? Well, not exactly. Sure, he would have had some money that he acquired from Jabba the Hutt's fortune, but probably not much. Look at it this way. Bib Fortuna was using Jabba's fortune to pay the mayor before Boba offed his chunky butt. Not to mention, he looked like he was trying to live like a king. So for 5 years, Big Fat Tuna sat around living a semi-lavish lifestyle while not bringing in much income. Jabba owned all of Mos Espa and controlled the Hutt clan, but after his death, it fell to those weird incest Hutt twins. They too would have taken a cut from Bib Fortuna. Then there's the fact that Mos Espa was split between other families. There wasn't much money coming in, and Big Fatty was living off the wealth Jabba had amassed. It's evident by how there weren't many people hovering around Fortuna when he didn't have the credits that Jabba did. It's the same in our own world. Some people hang around celebrities and rich people wanting to party or looking for scraps. Bib Fortuna also didn't replace the Rancor, something that seemed to be a priority. Without a television, the Rancor would have provided entertainment and even kept his enemies in check. Not to mention, there was now a large space in the palace that wasn't being used. But what about the money Boba collected through the years? Well, how long was Boba missing? Boba Fett was missing for 5 years. In that 5 years, his ship would have been pillaged of anything of value. His accounts may have even been seized by one faction or another during this 5 years. Then there's the wealth his father left him. Gone. After Jango Fett's death, it's assumed that Boba Fett left Kamino and didn't return. Not to mention, he spent a short stint in prison for trying to kill Mace Windu. The good old Republic likely seized his money, or the Kaminoans just took it while he was gone. Okay, so what if his money stayed intact? How much do you think it would cost to fly something as big as a house around the galaxy, upgrade its capabilities, maintain it, feed yourself, shower once a week whether you need it or not, and dabble in the finer things in life? To put it bluntly, Boba Fett was house poor. Now, let's look at the shape of Slave One. Yeah, I refuse to call it Boba Fett's starship. Yeah, that ain't happening. Slave One was named for his father's time in slavery, not for anyone he had enslaved. Boba Fett hated slavers more than anything. Anyways, the Slave One was beat up, paint chipping, blast marks, and carbon scoring, something you wouldn't see on a rich man's Rolls Royce. Not that people shoot at many rich men, but I think you get the point. Maybe it made him look more dangerous and he didn't care for flashy things. Maybe. When it boils down to it, Boba Fett really didn't have much money, nor did he likely care to amass wealth. We have this really skewed view of what a bounty hunter in the Star Wars universe is, someone trying to get rich. We think of them as people taking on these jobs in order to retire. That isn't the case at all. The psychology of bounty hunters is deep, and it has more to do with excitement and the thrill of the hunt than the money they take. And I'm not talking about people in our own world like Dog the Bounty Hunter. To me, he's more of a Jodo caste, looking to make a name for himself. If bounty hunting really paid that much, wouldn't Cad Bane have retired long before the Book of Boba Fett? In Star Wars, we don't see many bounty hunters living a lavish lifestyle. They have their weapons, a ship, and maybe a droid. Nowhere to call home, no mansions, and their ships and tools are for functionality, not showmanship. I know some people will bring up the line from The Empire Strikes Back. He's no good to me dead, or however the hell he says it, and that's fair. But Boba didn't say he is worth nothing to me dead. That line was more about the contract he was trying to fulfill. He had a job to do, and there were certain provisions in that contract, such as Han Solo was to be brought to Jabba the Hutt alive. It wasn't only about the money, and it was about doing the job correctly. Had he not done it the way the contract was laid out, then his reputation would be on the line. And even though it was a modest income, he still needed to survive and pay for gas and whatnot. So in the Book of Boba Fett, he likely didn't have much money. He had some, but not enough to fund an entire army. He wasn't selling spice or dealing in slave trading and had no real commodities for sale. He was just a bounty hunter prior to this, delivering a service that wouldn't have seen many high-profile contracts. Most of the contracts likely paid less than he was spending to do the job, or at least broke even. Han Solo was a smuggler that went rogue. How much is that actually worth to someone? We think it would have been worth more than it actually was because Han Solo was a hero in the story we were being told, and we hold him in high regard. But did Jabba the Hutt and did Boba Fett hold him in that regard? Probably not. By the time we get to the book of Boba Fett, Boba was tired. He was ready to sit back and call the shots as he saw himself as expendable to those who hired him in the past. And he was. Maybe this show told us a story we didn't want to hear, or maybe it went about doing it in a way we didn't agree with. But I do believe the character needed to grow beyond just a hired man. Well, his character needed more exploration in the new canon. Period. I think the show would have benefited more if it had more episodes and a more serious tone, such as Andor. I also think it would have gained favor with Star Wars fans if they had incorporated more of his legend stories where he went on to sire a child, then his granddaughter saved him. Overall, I like the Book of Boba Fett for what it was, a short story from one snippet of his life. I know in the beginning I said I didn't want to make another video about Boba Fett for a while, but it's really been a little bit since I talked about him. Okay. Maybe it hasn't really been that long. I don't know. I just thought this was an interesting topic, but I'd like to know what you think. Was Boba Fett house poor, and what would have made the Book of Boba Fett better for you, or is it perfect the way it is? Trust me, I don't hate on any opinion, unless you're a dick about it. Just be civil. I'm no Disney shill, I just love Star Wars. I do try to read all the comments, and I respond to as many as I can. See, I told you this channel was special. I'd like to take this time to give a special thanks to all of you channel members and those who have joined on Patreon. Thank you all so much for everything you do to this channel, for this channel, not to this channel. Your donations really do help me keep going and allow me to make new and improved content. And before I give my heartfelt goodbye, another word from our sponsor, me. Hit the subscribe button and give the video a like. I'm really trying to hit 50,000 subscribers, and I'd like you all to be a part of the next phase of this channel. The YouTube algorithm is more difficult than trying to figure out why Star Wars takes the heads of Earth creatures and slaps them on human bodies. But together we can conquer this YouTube algorithm. At least that gives us control over one thing in our lives. No matter your demographic, you are more than welcome here. Thank you all for hanging out with me today. Until the next video, this is Gerald, a Star Wars fanatic, wishing you all great health, happiness, and peace. Thank you all for watching, and remember, this is the way, and positivity in the Star Wars community should be the only way.